Hi ladies, this is Christina from Pretty and Pink Supply, and today I'm going to show you how to make these fun scrunchy chiffon type headbands. What we used in today's video is our chiffon bow strips, or fabric strips I guess you can say, because you can make a lot more things than just bows with these. They come in like a 3-inch strip by 55-inch, so they're pretty long. If you didn't want to use one of these, you can still achieve the same look with any type of fabric. You would just do a 3-inch wide piece of fabric and you'd fold it in half to get a 1.5-inch strip. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to sew it down the center. We're going to flip it inside out, sew it down the center, and then cut so you can get 2 out of 1 strip. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so if you have a safety pin or something that you can use to flip your fabric inside out, a safety pin always works best. You just pin the end, and then you're just gonna flip it. So start like this. And grab that. And like I said, you can do this with any type of fabric. It doesn't have to be our chiffon fabric strips. These are just already sewn, so we're just gonna sew them again down the center. But if you have another type of fabric, it would be just as cute. All right, so I got my safety pin to the other end. I'm just gonna flip it inside out. So because this is stitched on one side already, we're just going to iron it like this so it's nice and flat, and then we're gonna stitch down both sides, and then we'll just cut right down the center. But if you already have fabric that you're using that is not stitched up like this, you're just gonna do a 3-inch wide piece of fabric and you're gonna sew down one side, and it'll give you an 1.5 inch wide strip. So remember, it should be 1.5 inch wide by 55-inch. So you want lots of scrunch when you put it onto your headband. So I'm just gonna iron right down the center, keeping my seam in the middle as much as possible, because when we sew, we're gonna sew on this side and then also on this side, and then we're gonna cut right down the middle so we get 2 strips out of the one that we have. You just kind of want to get out any wrinkles that you have. Just kind of make sure it's centered nicely. And this will just make it easier when we go to sew. Making sure there's no wrinkles and stuff like that. So now that my fabric is nice and centered right where I want it, I just went ahead and put in a few pins throughout, and this will just kind of help keep everything in place as I sew down one side and then the next side. And yeah, so let's get that in there, and we're just gonna start on this seam. You're just gonna kind of want to fold it over. So this is if you are using our bow strips or chiffon fabric strips. You want to do a back stitch to make sure everything stays in place. Move this pin down because I didn't pin all the way down, but that way as it goes it kind of just stays in place. This would be really cute with like velvet. That would be so pretty for fall time or Christmas. I know velvet is a little more difficult to work with, but it would still be really nice. Maybe closer to like the colder months, I'll try and do a tutorial for that. Pinning really helps to keep everything not moving, because I tried this without pinning right before this and I was all over the place. This is much better. And just make sure you back stitch the end. then just trim off any thread. And then we're gonna just repeat the same process. Do you see how close it is to right here? And we're just, actually, I might not even need to. I might be able to just cut right here. Since it's already, no, I'm gonna have to. Okay, so on this side, you're gonna repeat the same thing. And then now that it's already stitched, you don't really have to pin it anymore because it's just gonna stay because it's stitched on one side. And then after we stitch, we're just gonna cut right down this center and we'll have two different strips. And then we'll be able to get two headbands just like this. If you're using a bow strip like this and you have your two sides, you're just gonna cut right down the center of it and it will give you two strips. So you're just gonna wanna cut right down the center. And then if you had regular fabric, then you wouldn't have to do this. You would just skip this step. I mean, you could still do it this way and you get two bow strips out of it, but it might be easier just to sew down one time. So I've cut my whole one side off, so now I have two different strips, and what I'm gonna do is just flip it back the right way with my safety pin. And you'll just pull it through. So I'm gonna skip this part, or I'll speed it up, that way you guys can just see what you need to see, because this part takes just a few minutes, so. But you just want to flip it inside out. Okay, so you're just gonna want to flip it the right way. And you got a nice little strip there. Take off your safety pin at the end. And then we're going to grab a satin lined headband. These are like super lightweight. They stay on the head nicely. So we're just going to add this on to our headband. Try and keep like the sewn seam facing inward. And then you're just going to scrunch it up like that. Hold one end so it doesn't come off the other end. You just scrunch it. Super simple. And then once we get this all on, we're just going to glue the ends. So we're gonna fold them in like this. It's kind of hard doing this through the phone. Hold on. We need to make sure our seam stays this way. All right, so you're gonna fold in your ends just like that, about maybe a ½ inch to an inch in. And we are going to glue it. So once your ends are kind of folded in, you can kind of see that. You're just gonna grab some glue, and we're just gonna put a little dab of glue. Actually, we should do it on the inside first. So we'll do it right here. And we are just, I need to set this down so I can have something to kind of lean it against. And we're just gonna bring that seam, so that back seam needs to stay back here, and you just glue it to the edge. So it's folded in, and then you're just gonna repeat the same thing on this side. You're just gonna put a little bit of glue in there, kind of flatten it out, make sure everything stays nice and even, so you get like a nice flat edge like that. Then on the inside, you're gonna put a little bit of glue here, fold it in, and it gives you just like a nice clean bottom or end right there. And when you do the other side, you just want to make sure that you are folding them the same way, so they're both facing the same way. You can kind of see that. And then let's just do the same thing for the back side, and that's it. Super simple to do. And I think the biggest thing is just because we're using a bow strip, you have to sew down both sides of your seam to get it, but if you weren't doing it, it would maybe cut down the time a little bit. All right, so that's folded in, and then same thing. Put a little dab of glue right there and pull up that seam. You just want it at the edge or the end of your satin lined headband. And this like doesn't show any glue or anything, which is really nice. It keeps it nice and clean. So I folded, actually I should do this side first. So we're gonna fold this side in so it matches the other side, and then this side. And then we got two cute little, or one cute little headband, but we do have another strip that we can still do on. You just kind of move it around, make sure it's all the way you want it, and you're good to go. So if you guys enjoyed watching today's video, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any requests on things you'd like to see made, be sure to comment below. Thanks for watching.